I think Senator Slotkin is next. Is that you down there? Yes, okay.
Thank you, Chairman. General Mahoney, welcome.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss when we upload.
General Mahoney, welcome. Thank you for being here, and particularly on a solemn day. This was my first anniversary of 9/11 in the Senate, and I was heartened to hear the sirens go off this morning at the exact times that the planes hit, and to hear there was a voice that came over, I think, the entire campus, noting that there had been a plane headed for this building on that day. So I thought that was an important reminder. You are nominated to be the number 2, the vice chairman. So that means you will be the number 2 in the country military advisor to the President of the United States. Our troops are intended by law to protect against foreign adversaries and to never advance the interest of one political party or their political agenda. That's one of the things I think we can agree on that separates us from a place like China. You will have that responsibility of giving best military advice, but also, as we discussed in my office, representing the interests of the military and the reputation of the military, which I know you've given your life to. I mean, you've done incredible service for this institution that as we discussed, really raised you to be the 4-star general that you are. You're also coming from being the assistant commandant to the Marine Corps, and that means you oversaw the 700 Marines that deployed to LA along with the National Guard without the consent of the governor out there in June and July. And according to a report, a DOD report that came out through Reuters, it was a document that said, entitled Los Angeles Civil Unrest Standing Rules for the Use of Force. And it stated, quote, that the very nature of domestic operations, American military forces operating in U.S. communities, has such significant implications that the mistakes of a few soldiers can have far-reaching social, political, and operational effects. And the document cites a cautionary tale of Marine Corporal Clemente Benuelos, who many years ago was on a joint mission and in 1997 in Texas, and saw a high schooler with a rifle. The high schooler was herding goats and ended up killing that high schooler. Can you walk me through, you're now wanting to be the number 2 military advisor to the president. What issues did you raise when you got the order to send 700 Marines? What concerns did you have? What did you sort of push and pull in that conversation to make sure to protect both civilians but the reputation of the military?
Senator, thanks. And when that order came down, our discussion was, how do we accomplish the mission? And are we trained, manned, and equipped for it? And that discussion went on very seriously from the commandant right on down to the company commanders that we're going to go forward. I will tell you that we trained to the standing rules of use of force. We trained to de-escalation techniques. We trained on the personal protective equipment, which I would expect of Marines to do before they left the assembly area. And I will tell you that the deepest conversation and the deepest concern with making sure that those Marines were ready to execute orders professionally were those battalion commanders and those company commanders, to talk about reputation of the cloth. They would not step forward across the line of departure until they were man trained and equipped to accomplish the mission that they had been given.
So if you were asked, now the president talks about sending troops to other places, if you were asked to change the rules of engagement to include arrest, detention of American citizens, hot pursuit, instead of tag teaming with law enforcement, you were asked to change those rules of engagement so that the U.S. military would be engaging in what I believe to be unlawful actions in the streets of America. Would you push back on that or other illegal orders that contravene the Constitution?
Before I go too far down the hypothetical here, which is reasonable, my best military judgment in my position now, or should I be confirmed, will be based on the facts and circumstances and the tasks that we've been given and the effect that we're trying to achieve and the training that we need in order to do it. That entire cascade of receipt of order to calling out the tasks, explicit and implied, building courses of action.
I understand, but if something was and this is almost an issue of conscience at this point, right? We're relying on your issue of conscience, that if you were asked to do something that contravened the Constitution and would greatly hurt the reputation of the military, that you, privately, I don't need you to do it publicly, but that you would stand up and push back and give your best military advice against such actions.
Senator, and I will do that publicly, that is an easy question. If I am ever put into a situation where 38 years of an oath is put at risk to do something different, the answer is simple. I will adhere to my oath to the Constitution. That's what is expected from the chairman. That's what's expected from the entire National Command Authority and from the American people.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I believe my time is up.
Now, I just finished watching this Senate hearing where Senator Elissa Slotkin questioned General Mahoney, who's been nominated to be the vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the #2 military advisor in the country. And I want to react to what I just saw because it really highlights something important about the state of our military and our politics. First off, Senator Slotkin, she opens by talking about 9/11 and remembering the attacks. Totally fair, we should always remember. But then, like many in Washington, she pivots to politics. She stresses that the military should never serve a political party, and honestly, she's right there. But here's the thing. Too many politicians in D.C. already try to use the military for political purposes. That's the danger. She pressed General Mahoney on the deployment of 700 Marines during the unrest in Los Angeles. Let's be clear, those were chaotic days. Businesses were burning, communities were at risk, and regular citizens were scared. The role of the military, alongside the National Guard, was to restore order and keep Americans safe. That's not partisan, that's protecting this country, period. Now, Slotkin brought up some DOD report, even citing a tragic incident from the 1990s where a Marine mistakenly shot a teenager in Texas. And while tragic, dredging up old stories like that feels more like a scare tactic than a genuine discussion of today's reality. Every profession has risks, but our military trains harder and more carefully than anyone else on the planet. General Mahoney's answer was exactly what you'd expect from a seasoned Marine. They trained for de-escalation. They made sure their people were prepared, equipped, and professional before ever stepping into the streets. That's leadership. That's accountability. That's the military culture that protects this nation. Then, Slotkin pressed him on whether he'd follow unlawful orders, like arresting American citizens. Let's be real. No Marine worth his salt is going to break his oath and trample the Constitution. And you know what? General Mahoney nailed it. He said flat out that his oath to the Constitution comes before anything else, and that he'd publicly refuse to go against it. That right there is the kind of answer we need from our military leaders. Here's my takeaway. The left always worries about the military being too strong at home, but at the same time, they're fine with chaos in the streets when it fits their political agenda. Meanwhile, patriots like you and me know the truth. Our military exists to defend the Constitution, secure our freedoms, and protect law-abiding Americans when law enforcement needs backup. General Mahoney gave the right answers today, and frankly, I think more Americans need to hear that commitment to the oath and to the people. What do you guys think? Was Senator Slotkin grandstanding, or do you think she was asking fair questions? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read them all. And don't forget, if you love this country, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any of our content. God bless you, God bless our military, and God bless the United States of America.